I have something to say. It's,
Sure.
I mean, I have some cat stories as well. They're
Yeah.
sad, but I want to comment on what Sarah said, but also on what Cody asked about the nature of those connections. It's a different story. I came here to Canada about I don't know 11 years ago, and I was a medical graduate, and I came here, passed all the exams, just wanted to go to residency program. And I also got the interview. And so you know how you get prepared for all like the interview questions, and one of them being, why do you want to be a doctor? So I was thinking, and all of a sudden, it was just at that moment that I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor. I always hated being a doctor. And the only reason I was being a, like I was going like to be a doctor was because my parents were doctors. And also in Iran, like my country, it's either like you don't have that many options. So if you want to have a good life, you either be doctor or an engineer. So then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, like I'm not gonna do this. Like I passed all the exams. Like everyone's like, oh, you're just crazy. I'm like, I'm not gonna be a doctor, and I just don't like. I didn't know what I want to be, but I just knew that what I don't want. And at the time, I was like going through this, that I was like really thinking about the life, the meaning of life, and why is it that like what is the purpose like? And so I was like going through all this like philosophy, like Buddhism. One day I was like reading about Christianity the other day, like all of these like philosophers, and none of them really like answered my question. And then there was this voice inside my head, and it was the name of the guy, Tahiri, which is also a spiritual teacher. And back in Iran, a lot of my friends used to go to him, and they all like, Shima, you should come. And I was like really into The Secret, like it was like very popular back then.
Yeah.
And I thought as like I was like telling them I'm very spiritual, like I don't need these classes, right? But also The Secret also doesn't really like, it talks about some stuff, but it doesn't really give the answer. And so all of a sudden, like, okay, I'm like reading about all these people. I'm gonna give this guy a chance. And I started listening to his classes. I found some on internet, and all of a sudden it just started to make sense. And I was just hooked. It was just like he's like answering actually all my questions. So this was like, it's called like halqa mysticism. And so it's kind of a Persian mysticism, and he's the founder. And the difference with like other mysticism is it's not just like theoretical, but he also give you the links. We call halqa, which is like basically called circles, like links that you get connected to the consciousness, like the higher consciousness. And all of these links, they do something for you. Like for example, with one, you can get just a feeling of presence, feeling like controlling your mind, or like controlling the negative vibe. And so then you go, so I guess what I'm saying is that it's just the nature of the connection. So you have to go like really through the courses to like see what this is about. But then there are two mysticism. One is the power mysticism, where you like there is then these things, like when you see, like I don't know, in like this Got Talent show, when you see like people do weird stuff, right? And then you just wonder like how they do this. And there's some people think they're tricks, but they're actually all real, in terms of they're just power mysticism. Like you can control people's mind, you can just like see things, you can like make people do things. And then there's Kamal mysticism, which is like, Kamal means like like a spiritual perfection. So this is about spiritual perfection, which all these links, all these connections actually helps you to get to know yourself, to cover those weaknesses, and just to be a better person, and just to go through life. And so yeah, I wanted just to tell that about the connections, and also to to Sarah's point. That's true. Our soul never dies, but what we believe is like we don't come back to this life, but we also like we continue on journey to other lives. But then the point is that when someone dies and they're being given a choice of whether they see the light and they want to go through that light to this next like life, which we don't have this physical body, it's just a completely different thing. Or if we actually want to stay around. And that's what we call ghosts. And we think that don't exist, but they do actually exist. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. But it's just it was such a life-changing experience for me. Like after getting to know that, and still there are lots of ups and downs in my life, as the life is, but it's I'm actually just more aware person of what I'm doing. Like I'm a driver of this, like just taking control of taking like charge of what I'm doing because of that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Casey.
All right, so I think I'm just gonna expel or expand or whatever what she was saying. Like I think with the animals that get presented in our lives, we have more awareness if we are open to it, like you said in the beginning of this, which ironically I said tonight, like, okay, we're on the East Coast and it's 10:49 now, and trust me, I'm a morning person, so I'm tired. But I had the high school concert and for my daughter, and I'm driving home, and I just was slowing down and paying attention. All of a sudden, tonight, there was a deer right there, and it was there. I was slowed down. I wasn't even gonna hit it. It was just like, it was magic. I just like watched it. I'm like, wow. And then it just turned, it looked at me, and then went. But I've had that before with like the peacock one time down the street and the fox down the street and different things. And of course I have a dog, and I had a cat for only a couple months and she passed away. But then I admit I'm probably not as connected that I realize what those animals, the spirit mean, but I take that awareness and then I kind of just research it a little bit to help my consciousness. Yeah. And like even tonight, it was kind of cool. Like the deer means like it's a carrier of peace and unconditional love and the gentleness, and then a kind of true gentle and an innocence that only the deer can bring, which will truly open new doors for you. Maybe it's for all of us, maybe it's for me, who knows? But like you said, we're sharing these stories, and when those things come to you, I think it's kind of cool. Yeah. If you're just aware and you're driving your life forward, I think, as Shima said. So that's all.
Yeah. That's important, actually. And it's great that Casey, that you brought up the symbolism behind like animals, because What's Your Sign, I think, is a great site for that. But a lot of people do look at symbolisms. Anyway, any comments, lady? Anything you wanted to say in regards to that?
I just think that it's nice to do this pet thing, but sometimes you got to let what she has said opened up more doors. Like it to my, I'm sorry. So hoping that before I go to sleep, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about, like, also with Dennis was like, beyond the talk about pets is great in the stories, but naturalism has been brought in, which is important. So the threads are showing, unless there's something more to the consciousness stories you started with. The theme is great, but every part moves. That's all.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback. Lady, you are cutting in and out, so I thought we do, expand and say the last 20 minutes or so. Did you want to go in and out, see if it would make a change in it? So.
Yeah, I'm gonna just back out and see if I get back in, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I have a comment. I don't know if you can hear me yet.
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, can hear you.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm probably talking too much. I'm a Gemini, sorry. But I just wanted to respond to, I think it was, who made that, had a question? Was it Cody? I think it was Cody. And I think he was just, inquiring about the connection between animals and humans, and you know what it means, or why. I think in his account that he shared, was it a cat? The cats which seem to trust humans, with their young or something like that, right? Is that what Cody
Yeah,
had
that was it.
communicated? Okay, and and I think this might come as a shock to some humans, but unfortunately, we are animals, and so at least physically speaking, although we look quite different from many other animal species. But I believe it was Aristotle who had, indicated that, well, I think he categorized the souls of plants and animals and humans a little bit differently. But in my opinion, we, we are animals, but, we've separated ourselves somehow. But, animals and humans, we all share, I believe, an animative soul, or what you can call a spirit, and also a soul. They are different for me in my philosophy, but I think that might explain why animals can sense our intentions just as easy, actually much better than humans, I think, can sense their intentions and understand them. So
Yeah, that was a really good point. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually.
It's us humans, I believe, who are losing touch with our more instinctual and animalistic and even psychical senses that allow us to communicate with one another without words,
Yeah,
So-
why is that?
Why? Because, well, that's language, or at least our particular form of language, and I think we are accessing a part. What I do think that does differentiate the human species, the Homo sapiens species from, most other animals species, is that I'm not a scientist. I haven't studied the brain structure and the cerebral structural differences between humans and animals' brains, but I do think that there is probably a component of the human mind that has developed obviously differently than animals, that has given us access to this unique way of understanding and utilizing language, that has, unfortunately, the side effect is that with increased self-awareness and self-awareness, we are losing some of that more psychical or animal, psychical or instinctual awareness. That's my theory.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
That
I
is
know I talk a
true.
lot, so sorry.
No, that was actually that was really great, because it does make a lot of sense. Because we are, just like you said, we are animals, but then there is a side to us that animal doesn't have. Like animals, if you look at them, they are in just their perfect state of being. Like dogs are just, it's very obvious what they're doing, what their needs are, and like a dog is always a dog, a cat's always like, and they're just perfect in how they are. Whereas human, we are not perfect, and we are, just like I said, we are going towards that perfection to just like get to know ourselves. For us, everything is a puzzle, whereas for animals, they're if I can say, their software, like how
They
it
are
works for
whole.
them. Yeah, it's just
They
like,
are whole.
yeah, exactly. So they're that whole, it's if you say 100%, they are at their 100%, whereas we are not. And for us, it's like a big puzzle, because we forget, just like I said, we come from one life and then we come to this life from the previous life, we come to this life and we go to the other life. But when we come to this life as a baby, we forget who we were. So that's forgetfulness. It's then that creates the puzzle, because if we remember the journey that we come from, then there is no puzzle because we can put the pieces together. So I feel like it's like it's like our duty as a human to just like figure out, because of what are we doing in this world. And then if we really think about it, then just like we said, we just like that, the connection with us and animals and the people, then if like really we think about it, then there is going to be like no war, no like, because like we're killing each other, like we want more power or we want like, but then when you think about that oneness, like if really everyone realizes that, then then like the big piece of puzzle is solved, and we're not going to be so like devastated on Earth as we are today. So
Yes, another thing I will add to that is that, you know, as humans, you said puzzles. I think most of the natural earth and nature and the animals and, you know, they represent, let's say, a big chunk of a puzzle. And I think it's humans, we are the last piece of this puzzle. I'll call, I don't know, Earth, Gaia, I don't know, a nature. But yet, I think the human, unfortunately, we are the last piece, but instead of trying to fit ourselves into the puzzle of nature and Earth and what I believe is our natural sort of biological purpose, we decide to try and fit our puzzle piece. And actually, we place our puzzle piece somewhere else, very far away from the natural puzzle we should be fitting into, and try to build, literally, concrete and all sorts of other things, build, you know, these other pieces to fit around us and our existence as humans.
yeah, it's because of our ego, like that's the whole thing, because we got that ego that we want to serve ourselves, right? And that's how we become disconnected with everyone else. And if you think about the whole ecosystem, it's like if you think about it as an orchestra and everyone's doing what they're supposed to do, and then it's us human when we're just like singing like so off.
We lack an
something else.
inherent unity, and that's the main difference, I think, between animals and humans. When you take moralistic considerations out of the equation, you know, whether it's right or wrong to, you know, kill prey in order, you know, like for lions to kill, I don't know what they use, elephants or buffaloes or whatever, you know, is it right, is it wrong? When we take all that out of the equation and we just think about, you know, just nature, natural existence, I think humans deviate the most from this sort of natural state of being. And I mean, there are benefits to this, but unfortunately, we are the most fragmented. I think you used that word earlier, Shima. We are the most fragmented because not only are we not in harmony with the rest of nature and animals and earth, and this is generally speaking, I'm not saying all humans are like this, but we are, you know, not in harmony with one another as a species. And so no wonder, you know, it's more difficult for us to communicate with the rest of nature and animals than it is for them to communicate with one another and us.
Yeah, because like when you actually come to like think about all this and just become aware of like everything that you said, and just like when you get to, because like a lot of people don't even think about this question, but then when you start to think about this question, then the unity that you make with nature, that's like the first step. It's like the easiest step because we're just part of it. And then the unity with like your God or that source or whatever, that's the second step. And then it's with yourself, like you just like come in peace with yourself. But the hardest thing is to come in peace with other beings, other human beings on Earth. And that's just the hardest thing to do.
For many humans, not for me. I have the opposite issue. But
Really?
I noticed this. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
I can just give one example, like,
Sure.
animal will never be disloyal. I was just saying, like, a dog, just an example of a dog because I volunteer at the shelter. A dog will never leave its owner, no matter what, it's very loyal. Just one example. But I have seen many of the owners who have take these pets on adoption or fostering. For some reason, they return back when their needs are served. Like, for example, during the COVID, there were huge number of people adopting these animals or dogs from their shelters, and now all the shelters sort of throughout the country are flooded with animals, dogs or pets, because people are slowly going back to job. They are no longer lonely. They are no longer tied at home. So now they are back to their life. So they just want to give away. So this is one small example I wanted to say, like, when we think we are part of the nature and animals and we all are united and humans are united, one small step is like when we take the responsibility, whatever living creature it is, we have to take it as ours and then do the responsibility fully. Because I see these pets, they suffer, they really suffer in the shelter, because not because they're in the shelter, anxiety, but also because they miss their family, that the parents who had taken care of them. So if an animal is sick or if it has got cancer, they give it back in the shelter. Or if they have lost job, first thing they want is to get rid of the animal. I mean, this is not an animal will not do this to the owner, but we do this to these voiceless, pure loving creatures, and that is why our throughout the world right now the shelters are overflowing, and many of them are really having a tough time to be replaced and to be adopted. Just wanted to
It's
share
really sad, really sad. Unfortunately, this is not a matter of, sort of just ethnic cultural practices between different, groups of human beings. It's sort of becoming a human culture, like a widespread cultural practice among all human beings, and I think that's now I'm having so many moments of intuition. What's going on? I need to write instead of talking to you guys and blabbing your ears off with all this. I should be writing. But I sense that, yeah, I like that puzzle piece analogy. I feel like instead of us as humans, this is what I hear from you, Sarah, I think it's your name, instead of humans integrating into the ways and the traditions and the cultural practices of the animals, like dogs, and trying to live as they live or respect and honor their way of being, humans, we don't want to fit into the puzzle of nature. We like to build nature around and create a brand new foundation to fit our own personal needs. And this is why we have this problem you described. In general, not all humans are like that. You guys,
Yeah.
I think, are special.
Dave, did you have any comments on this whole connection between, how we treat animals and, yeah.
Get out in nature.
Yeah.
Like
I
how
have
many
some-
people, how many people get out to the forest and actually
Yeah.
interact with nature? I think that's a good, place to get in contact and to have some awareness and also, expand your consciousness, get out of your unnatural environment, get into a natural environment while we still have some. And,
I also have something to say too about
Okay.
that as well.
go for it,
Okay,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm sorry
Hi,
we didn't have a
Kelly.
chance to set you up with the camera because it was hard for you to get in tonight, but okay, Kelly.
Yeah, so tonight I'm using my phone because my computer just was not letting me do it. So
That's okay.
I have a dog, and she's a guide dog, And so I work with like dogs because I mean I work with her, and so and I also had a guide dog before her. So I've been very close to both of them. In fact, I communicate with both of them. Like the current one that I have, she will move her mouth in different, like, for different clicks. So when she moves her mouth, she makes different clicks, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I know, I get it, you know. And it's just very
It's like
interesting.
the telepathic relationship you have with her, right?
We do, yes, we do. So sometimes, like, you know, she'll just randomly start talking, and I'm like, this is a string of clicks. I gotta hold on. And most of the time I'm right on, you know. And sometimes, like, you know, if she's upset, she'll click as loud as she can, and I'm like, hey, enough with the grumpies, all right? No. um
So
so
can she
yeah.
pick up on your feelings? Like, does she pick up on
Oh
where
yeah.
you're at? Okay.
Oh yeah. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. So I actually feel like very, very, like, we're extremely close. And so um I trust her, and she, you know, like, when she's working, she's very careful, and she loves to work. And if she doesn't work, I actually feel bad. I'm like, I'm sorry, but there's nowhere to go today. So, you know, we're just gonna stay home. And so, you know, but we have a very, very, very close relationship. Yeah. And I think a part of the problem is that people don't work with animals anymore. So it's kind of a like I see a lot of people who have animals, and their animals just are basically kind of laying around, you know, and I'm like, oh, you know. So I think sometimes I think now a lot of people get animals just because they think that, oh, it'll be a good companion for me for when I come home.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, they're a huge responsibility, and they're a lot of work. If you win their respect and you're able to communicate with them consistently and keep things consistent, then, you know, you'll see changes, you know.
That's an
I
interesting,
find
yeah, okay. You're saying,
I find that it's different than working with people. Because
It's easier.
I find I find that working with people, you really, you know, you don't really see change a lot of times. You just see the same stuff. And you're
yeah,
like,
I
oh,
think, Kelly, what you said about, you know, animals like working for you was an important
yeah,
thing, because in, you know, if you go through human history, quite often they were valued because they needed them for their livelihood, right?
that's right.
So,
Absolutely.
and not, I'm not thinking just for food, but for labor, right? You need them
For
to
labor, yeah,
work, right?
definitely.
In the fields and that sort of thing. So,
Definitely.
whereas
Definitely.
nowadays, yeah, they're just, you know, like a pet, right?
Yeah.
They're comfort.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think I don't I don't really I wouldn't just want a pet, because I don't think that that's an animal's purpose in life. Like, I just, you know, like, I mean, we wouldn't want to be somebody's pet. Why would they?
Mhm.
Why would they just want to lay around all day and then be greeted by some person who's, you know, just, you know, kind of needy at the end of the day?
Well,
But
A lot of people need that though. I think maybe that's what it is, right? A lot of people feel
Yeah.
detached from other people. So
I
they
think-
look to animals to help them.
I think as long as they are played with and just work with, I mean, like just
Yeah.
taking them out and then taking them out for walks. I think it
Oh,
still
yeah.
works because you're right. We are like so detached from nature. So everything is just so different because
Yeah.
of that detachment. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we can't go back just like because we destroy all the bridges behind us. So that's just how it works right now. But I think
I
even
get it.
right now, like with pets,
Yeah.
I'm okay with like pets, but also I hear you where a lot of people, they don't like either take them out or they don't like play with them. They're just like becoming
Yeah.
part of their things. And that's just sad because they are live being and they need some livelihood. So, I mean, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I understand. Yeah, like I said earlier, because Diane, you were saying about how some people are detached from other people. Yeah, me of all people, I kind of understand that in some ways, because yeah, with animals, if you're very consistent and you keep communicating and you just have to be really consistent and firm and loving and treat them with respect. If you do that, you see results, and the results are usually really awesome. Like they're great. Whereas people, you see results, but then you also don't.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
You
Any
really
other?
don't.
Okay, Cal.
Sorry.
Any other comments from people on this? Any other stories?
Well,
Yeah.
I have a comment and
Okay.
that having a connection with any animal that I've had, I've learned about myself.
Yep.
I've been able to, it's sometimes it's a way that I've been able to reflect on bad behavior,
Mhm.
a way to be able to reflect on good behavior, on love, and that is, that is a connection, our connection with everything. And animals have, they can reflect us quite nicely. We can see, if we're going to project love, we're going to get it back, even if, somebody might not see it that way. And to our perspective, like I go out every morning and I communicate with these little songbirds or these little sparrows and, and the crows, of course, and anything that's in my, immediate area, I'm connecting with, and I'm connecting with what's inside of me through having this connection with them, and I'm going to project love, and I feel I'm communicating, so I feel like I'm part of this little nature, bit of nature we have in our backyard. So I mean, it's a good way of having, we're not just going outside and not being aware of what's around me. It's a good way to have a reflective moment, and it being present and being in the now also, just not passing through, not noticing everything. So it's nice to have
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
to have a little,
Yeah.
I have to chase the cats away, I have to tell you though.
Yeah, he does. He chases the cats away. I do want to share a little story though to do with Dave and the crows, because the whole there's 3 of you in the neighborhood, I guess, that feed the crows. Is that right?
These male and female, we've been like, it has to be at least, well, getting close to 20 years we've been feeding this pair. So
Yeah.
they've gone, anyway, yes.
And Dave was driving from Hamilton across to Vancouver. And so he'd be phoning me at the end of the drive each day, you know. So I really wasn't expecting him to arrive until much later. And, you know, as this was, you know, he was finally arriving in Vancouver. And I thought, well, he won't be here for hours. But then the crows were on the fence. And I've never seen them on that side fence. And they just made such a racket that I thought, you know what? I think Dave's going to arrive anytime now. About 20 minutes later, he showed up. So yeah, the connection there, right? They just knew he was coming. So.
Actually, I do just have one more thing to say too. Animals can also maybe give you like a past life kind of thing too. What I mean is that like with Grace, my current dog, I had this dream one time. There was like this little girl, and I I was with her. I was with this little girl, and in the dream, it just said that in another reality, this little girl is my daughter, but in this reality, she is my guide dog.
Oh.
So I thought that was very interesting because
Because in Buddhism, I think they believe in that too. And Sarah, did you say in Hinduism they believe in that too?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's 100% correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was so cute. She was like just adorable.
That's good. Any final comments? Anything, Casey, Lady, Dionysus?
I have a final comment. Thank you for hosting this space and just allowing any random person from all over the universe to just join.
That's awesome.
Thank you. It's actually really nice and
well,
comforting.
join us next week, because I am, you know, like we do share unusual experiences we have had in our lives. And, you know, if you go on to Expanding Your Consciousness, the YouTube channel, you can see some of our past talks, or I can actually put it in a message to you, the link. So.
Oh, I'm going to look it up. Don't you worry.
Yeah. And
thank you.
You know, please join us again. Thank you to everyone. Any final words before we go?
Have a great week.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you too.
Love your fuzzies.
Love your fuzzies. Your furry, hairy pet friends. Yeah.
Yep.
Rudy, any final words?
My problem with final words is we'll be here all night.
Okay.
We better not. I have a whole bunch of things to start, and this isn't a good time to be starting, is it?
No. But you know, if you do have suggestions or any ideas, please, you know, contact me through Meetup, and Lady, you have my email, and Casey as well. So
okay.
you know, I appreciate any ideas or any feedback.
So Casey, did I see a dog with you tonight?
Yes.
Who's that?
Coco.
Coco. Hi, Coco.
Happy.
Coco.
Okay, Coco. Have a good night, and nice to see everybody. And to
It's
meet
bedtime here.
And nice to meet Dionysus and Sarah. And,
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay. Nice to hear that Texas accent too. And I picked up on it a little bit. I have relatives that live in Austin, so I can.
Ooh, that's exactly where I'm at.
All right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.